My name is Roger Juan Maldonado. I am the president of the New York City Bar Association, and I have the great pleasure of welcoming you all tonight to the New York City Bar Association's International Conference on the Status of Women. This is the City Bar Association's 150th year. We are celebrating this entire year of 2020, 150 years of hopefully progressive movement towards improvement of society. It is also the 75th anniversary of the establishment of the United Nations, and perhaps more importantly for tonight's event, it is the 25th anniversary of the Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing, where then First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton proclaimed, "Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights." There is no question that the status of women in society has progressed significantly, certainly from the establishment of the City Bar Association and the establishment of the United Nations. Unfortunately, there is also no question that the condition of women in the world has not progressed as hoped after the Fourth World Conference in Beijing. And in fact, given events in today's world, both here in the United States and across the globe, it is clear that absent affirmative action on behalf of gatherings such as this, what we once considered to be well-established rights on behalf of women and others are at risk. So it is extremely important that we have conferences such as tonight to be able to once again reaffirm the need to address gender violence, inequality, exploitation of women, as was made clear through the protests and demonstrations that occurred across the world yesterday. And tonight's event is not just part of the City Bar's celebration of its 150th anniversary. It is part of a series of events that the City Bar Association has and will continue to conduct. We've been doing so for years, and we will continue to do so for our next 150 years, focused on promoting the rights of women, not just in the legal profession, but in society as a whole, and to have frank discussions with lawyers and advocates and persons of all backgrounds interested in women's rights on what is the appropriate treatment of women in society and how are we failing in that regard. Among the perhaps most important events that we hold to focus on women's rights are the annual Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Distinguished Lecture of Women lectures, at which Justice Ginsburg attends in person, and at her insistence, we invite law students from across the New York region. And I can tell you of the many events that the City Bar conducts, none has more energy in the room than that distinguished lecture series. We also have conducted and will continue to conduct conferences hosted by our Sex and the Law Committee on sexual harassment in the workplace. The Vance Center hosted last year my first year as City Bar president, in Bogota, Colombia, an international conference on women in prison. And what impressed me, many things impressed me about the conference, including the fact that you had women who had been in prison leading the conference, but also, unfortunately, the degree to which problems that exist throughout the world also exist here in the United States with respect to its treatment of women in prison. We also have programs here that focus on equal pay for women. And as our executive director, Brett Parker, likes to say, we hold them in a sort of town hall where we bring into the City Bar Association both speakers and members of our communities to talk about what it is that needs to be done, can be done, to improve equal pay for women and all other members of our society. We most recently had our 12th night celebration, again, of Justice Ginsburg, who agreed to be the roastee. But it really was a fantastic opportunity to celebrate not just her life and accomplishments, but everything that she has done to promote the fair treatment of all members of society, including women. And going forward, we are going to continue to have these sorts of events, but soon, under the leadership of Sheila Boston, the first woman of color to serve as president of the City Bar Association. So I look forward to tonight's program. I hope you enjoy it. And I leave you now with Catherine Van Kampen, who will continue with the proceedings. Enjoy.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is feeling good. And thank you so much for showing up, because I know there's a lot going on in our city right now. Good evening, Undersecretary Patton, President Maldonado, Consulee Nishimwa, Leila Kuleda, distinguished panelists, speakers, and guests. Welcome to the New York City Bar's International Law Conference on the Status of Women. My name is Catherine Van Kampen. I am an attorney with Bernstein, Litowitz, Berger, and Grossman, and a member of the New York Bar Association's African Affairs Committee, as well as the United Nations Committee. Tonight is my dad's 90th birthday, and I couldn't, he's in Florida, so it's okay, it's good, and he's having a huge party. So, even though I couldn't be with him tonight, being here with all of you who've showed up for women, including my nieces, my sister-in-law, my cousin, is such a great tribute to him. Because my dad loves women. As he should, right? All men should love women. So this year is the New York City Bar's 150 years old. It spent those last 150 years fighting for justice, and hopefully this esteemed organization will spend another 150 years doing the same. If you are not a member of this venerable organization, I wholeheartedly encourage you to become one and to become fully engaged in the wide array of activities that take place here. Last Thursday, I attended the Tory Burch Foundation's Embrace Ambition Summit here in New York City at Lincoln Center. From thousands of applicants, I was one of the lucky 500 to receive a ticket to attend. I had to write an essay as part of my application. I wrote about my love of pro bono work. My love for this work is driven by my desire for women and for all of us to live in a world free of violence, discrimination, and oppression. Tori opened the day with an interview with Halima Hayden, and I'm not sure if how many of you have heard of Halima, but she's a 21-year-old model born in the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya, who luckily was able to immigrate to the United States, and she grew up in Minnesota. This Somali-American model made history back in 2016 for becoming the first fully covered Muslim woman to compete in the Miss Minnesota pageant. She has her hijab written as a mandatory clause in every single modeling contract. Halima said in the Kakuma refugee camp, which, by the way, has tripled in size since her family left many years ago, that there was a community board that was updated regularly with the names of the families who had been selected to immigrate to new countries. She described her family's acceptance by the United States as a billion-dollar ticket and expressed how grateful she was to America for the life that she has now. Tori went on to discuss how we were currently facing, and this took my breath away, literally, we are currently facing the worst refugee crisis since World War II, and that every few seconds, another person is displaced. There are now 71 million displaced persons worldwide, and I am sure you agree that 71 million is way too many human beings to be without a permanent home. And I also wonder sometimes when the world's heart went missing, and why we don't do more to help these people. I was very proud to be part of that summit, and I'm very proud to be part of this conference. We need to engage in conversations that make us uncomfortable, and we need to lean into that discomfort. We have an obligation to discuss the onerous forces at work in society and in our legal structures that hurt women. And also, we need to design both law and public policy to help them thrive. Rather than taking difficult and disturbing topics off the agenda, we need to make sure that they're on the agenda. And I hope that vibrant discussions like the one Tori and Halima had on Thursday night can be had here this evening. Every day, I think about how we can all work to change the things in our world that we cannot accept. And in that process, how we can feel closer without hugging, kissing, or shaking hands with one another, how we can feel closer to one another. And to that end, I hope that you enjoyed the Pro Bono Forum and that you consider tonight your personal call to action to get involved and to use Tori's phrase to embrace your ambition, to volunteer, and to use your time and your unique talents to go out and do a world of good. Tori's summit was free, or virtually free, except for Citibank, or no, not Bank of America, which underwrote the whole thing, but in any event, for the attendees, it was free. And Tori said that her summit was free because otherwise too many great people would be unable to attend. And I share Tori's sentiments, and that's why our organizing committees worked so hard tonight to make this night free or virtually free. And I would like to thank a few individuals in particular who made this possible, including the Bar Association's President Maldonado, Martha Harris, Christine Suarez, Victoria Safran, Clayton Cheney, Robert Cusimano, Huntington Bank's Robin Griffin, Chris Ritchie, Melissa Villain, Epic's Michael O'Connor, Victoria Wakora, Citibank's Gaita Matan, Bola Oceano, and Rob Bisu. I would also like to thank Hadi Peer, Saad Babar, and Leila Kuleda of the Yazda delegation for flying in all the way from Nebraska, for Dr. Michelle Sanders from the Bring Hope Humanitarian Foundation for coming in from Texas, plus Dutch activist Jessica Reiners and Dutch actor Yolanda Kabu of the Free Girl Stichting Foundation, now officially in New York, for coming from the Netherlands and California. We have a great lineup of speakers for you tonight, including my brilliant and esteemed colleague Lauren Ormsby, a top litigator from our firm, who will be moderating together with Robin Griffin, a top banker. They will be moderating 2 panels. We have a keynote address by Konsuli Nishimwa and an exciting award ceremony for the 2020 Epic Women and Her Heroes Awards. I would like to thank BLBG's marketing department, Lisa Olsney, Abby Gibbons, and my settlement colleague, Iris Alfonso, who's my right hand, for helping with the PR and the beautiful brochure completed for this evening. And by the way, in addition to the artistic talent, which you will hear shortly, we also have athletic talent with us too. We have Yazidi World Boxing Association international title fight holder and the U.S. Boxing Federation champion, Yurik Mamdov. Where's Yurik? All right, good. So if we have any kickboxing and boxing aficionados in the house, Yurik told me he will personally give you some tips on jabbing, punching, and a wicked hook if you need it. And we also have Anna Cley, the world-renowned opera singer, who will sing Habanero from Carmen. We have Amaryllis Mercado here tonight to thank for this, as it is Amaryllis who brought Anna to me one morning a couple weeks ago at our health club and said, Anna will sing for the New York Bar. Amaryllis and Layla spoke the same words to me recently. They both said to me, to make change, I always thought you had to be someone. And then I realized I was someone. While Anna sings, I hope that you will think about how important it is to give a voice to the voiceless, to those women whose voices have been silenced, including the women of the Holocaust, the Rwandan women, the Serbian women, the missing and shunned Boko Haram girls, the stolen Yazidi women and children, the abused Rohingya refugee women, the members of the LGBTQ community around the world, and the vulnerable migrant women on our border who have been separated from their children and remain separated from their children tonight. And most especially, let's remember the Syrian and African refugees struggling in Europe right now. Anna, please come up and bring down the house.